Learn the difference between badness and sadness. Learn the difference between badness and sadness. Now, what do badness and sadness have to do with one another? Well, in part, it has to do with the design of life and the design of the human organism. This piece of equipment as a person, your brain, your emotions, how you're wired together and glued together, that badness was never supposed to be in the picture anywhere. You know, remember, go back to the story of God, of the Garden of Eden. What did God say? Look, you guys can do anything you want. Just don't do this one thing, you idiots. He didn't say that, but he's probably thinking it. If you do, don't eat of the tree of the knowledge between good and evil. This problem of good and bad. Am I good? Am I bad? Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Are you good enough? Is life good enough? No, I'm a loser. No, you're bad. Oh, you got a zit. I don't like you. You know, all of that stuff. Oh, I'm 3 pounds overweight, or I'm more than 3 pounds, or I'm less than it. Oh, I don't have the right. Oh, my hair. We were never supposed to obsess about badness. It wasn't supposed to be part of the human experience. And here's what happened. We lost love. We lost relationship. We had a breakup in the relationship. We broke up with God and said, yeah, I don't want you. That's a breakup. And then when that happened, we broke up with each other. And if you look at the incredible symbolism in all of that, that the human race, our relatedness, our connectedness got broken. Okay. What does the story say? Immediately, what happened? When you lost relationship, badness immediately entered the scene. What do? When we're now threatened with a loss of relationship, what did it say? We took the fig leaves and covered ourselves. We got ashamed. I was naked and ashamed this time instead of naked and unashamed. See, when we don't feel love, we fear everything. If we don't feel loved, we fear being rejected. We feel abandoned, fear being abandoned. And, oh, well, I guess I'm not something enough to be loved. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I don't have a good enough job. I don't have good enough this. And so we start to feel bad. Now, that sets the stage for this problem of sadness and badness. See, badness wasn't supposed to be part of the picture, but it is now. And when things go wrong, here's the deal. Humans have traded in sadness for badness. Let me give you an example. Now, I don't mean sit there and go, oh, which one would I rather feel? It's just what happened. This is the human condition. You take a child and something happens to them that's really sad. Let's say dad abandons the family. That's really sad. But what does the child often feel? The child feels bad. Like, why did daddy leave me? I must not be good enough. Or why did mommy and daddy split up? It must have been something that I did. I remember having to overcome, feelings of badness because of my childhood illness that I didn't cause, but I went into a wheelchair and right for my 4th birthday for, a while, for like a couple of years. I was a crippled, used to call me the crippled child. That later I found out there's a lot of sadness on a lot of that and a lot of aspects of life that I missed out on. But that's not what stuck. What stuck is what's wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I feel, what did I do wrong? Why did God do this to me? Why did, and that's the way a kid thinks. And oftentimes that stays in people's heads. How many of you, listen to me, if you're single, you've had somebody break up with you, and instead of the sadness and the grief, gosh, I wish this were where you're going off and feeling not good enough, or you lose the game instead of, oh, bummer, we didn't win it. That's so sad. We worked so hard and we lost. That's a sad thing. No, we feel bad. Like the loser is bad. Or how about this one when it flips? And this is what I was mainly thinking of when I was thinking of sharing this today. That people who should be sad because of your boundaries should make some people sad. I mean, normally, if I wanted to go to lunch with you and I called you and I'm really wanting to do this, and you say, no, Henry, I can't do that, because I got to go mow my grass, or I just want some alone time, or, I've got some other people I want to talk to. I didn't get to go to lunch with you. Your boundary said no. I should feel, oh, bummer. Gosh, I was really looking forward to that. So, I'm sad. But what do? No, we don't want to feel sad. So we turn it into bad. Well, what? You don't care about me? Oh, so you got something better to do? And we use guilt, or people will use guilt to attack you when you say no. And now, instead of being able to say, well, I'm not bad for saying that, but I can see it makes you sad, you take on that badness because you let the sadness turn into badness. And it shouldn't. See, when you have a boundary, and in fact, let's say you're in a relationship with an addict or a control freak, and they're ruining the relationship, and you say, I can't expose myself to this kind of pain anymore. They're going to lose contact with you if they don't clean up their act. Well, that should make them very, very sad because they're going to lose you. And instead, they make you bad for saying, I don't want to be hurt anymore. Psychotic thinking by the human race. Of course, it didn't surprise God. One of my favorite verses. This is hilarious to me. I'll have to look this up. Somebody can let me see. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I'll go on my trusty Bible search function here and say their thoughts were continually evil from morning until evening, or crazy is the way it says. I'll have to find the verse, but I think it may be in Genesis 5. Anyway, God said, he looked at the human race, he said their thoughts are destructive, and from the time they wake up until the time they're just what is wrong with these people? They're just nuts, right? Well, yeah, we are. And so sometimes the nuttiness is our own nuttiness, and sometimes it's the nuttiness that other people's nuttiness gets put into your nuttiness, and they make you bad and you feel guilty, because really there's nothing to feel guilty about. They just ought to be sad because you wouldn't go to enable their behavior. So how about this? Sometimes our own patterns, if we're in a relationship, our own patterns are costing us something. Instead of feeling bad about it, if we would feel sad about what we're losing, that would actually motivate us to change our behavior. But instead we feel bad, and we tend to do more of the same. If we could focus on the sadness, if you could focus on what a pattern is costing you versus you're bad for having that pattern, then it would change. And I'll close with this. You see this in interventions. I've been involved in a lot of situations where there's an intervention needed. A lot of times you see somebody who's an addict or some kind of behavior or whatever, and people have been confronting them about that, and they feel bad You feel sorry. Oh, I'll never do this again. Oh, I'm such a bad husband, or I'm such a bad wife, or I'm such a bad parent, and bad, 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 bad. And I always worry about how bad they are. Oh, I'll never do it again. Oh, I'll never do it again. I'm so bad. And they keep doing it again. But then you have an intervention. And you take that alcoholic and you put them in a room with everybody that their substance abuse has affected. And that 7-year-old says to dad, or that 10-year-old says to dad, you told me you were going to come to my baseball games. And each time I had one, I look in the stands and you weren't there, and I would come home and you were drunk, passed out. That really made me sad. And then, if successful, sometimes you will see the breakthrough of sadness, and that addict will look at that child and they'll begin to grieve for what they're losing with their kid because of their behavior. And that sadness of the loss. I don't want to lose that. Okay, I want to get sober. Why? Because I want to be good? No. Because you don't want to lose that relationship. You don't want to lose that goal. You don't want to lose all of that good stuff. Yes, I've got to beat this. Why? Because I don't want to lose, not because I'm bad and I want to be good. See, that's still self-centered. Badness ultimately it's about us. That's why the Bible says, after you get out of the guilt thing, God says, look, I'm not trying to make you bad. Come home, come back into the love relationship with me. I will forgive you. And then you do, okay? Now we're in this relationship. Well, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to screw it up again. And what does it say? That you all of a sudden go back to bad? No, he says that, don't grieve me like that. Don't grieve the Holy Spirit. Don't make him sad like any other relationship. It's not about you being bad. That's been taken care of in his forgiveness. So I want you to look at the situations in your life where you're either taking badness on because somebody is accusing you of that, or you're making yourself bad for something that is not working or whatever. And let's trade in the badness for sadness. If you hurt somebody, don't feel bad, feel sad for them. One of my favorite verses. It says, it's talking about, when you do something wrong, there's a sorrow, feeling bad about that just leads to more death, Paul said. But godly sorrow leads to actually change. And see, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sadness over, we don't want to hurt anybody. Not, I don't want to be bad, but I don't want to hurt you. So I'm going to change my behavior because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to lose things that I want and value in life because of my behavior. So I'm going to get off drugs because I don't want to lose my life. Or, God, I'd love to smoke 2 packs a day. Wouldn't that taste good? But I don't want to lose my children by dying at 40 or something. See, our behavior changes when we're motivated by the threat of loss and loss of love and sadness as opposed to guilt. So look at the badness. Think about it may be time to trade it in for sadness instead.